Precious was born with a face so beautiful, it was deadly. From the very moment she entered the world, something strange and terrifying happened. The hospital room, once filled with joy and anticipation, became a place of fear. The first nurse who lifted the newborn to clean her collapsed instantly, gone before anyone understood what happened. The doctor who came to assist took one look at the infant's face and fell lifeless to the ground. Another nurse tried to scream, but she too dropped without warning. Within minutes, everyone in the room who saw her, the doctors, the nurses, even visitors passing by, lay motionless on the cold hospital floor. Only 2 people survived. Her mother and father, not because they hid their eyes, not because they were lucky, but because they loved her purely, deeply, and without fear. Their love shielded them from the curse that clung to their daughter's beauty. The hospital was thrown into chaos. Alarms rang, people shouted, no one knew what kind of child had been born, but Precious' parents did only one thing. They protected her. Her father wrapped her gently in a cloth, covering her face completely. Her mother held her close, refusing to let anyone take her child away. They escaped the hospital quietly, shielding her tiny face from the world. From that day onward, they raised Precious in strict secrecy. They closed their doors to strangers. They rejected visitors. They never took pictures. They never allowed her near windows or crowds. Her parents knew that one wrong glance, one accidental moment, could mean death for anyone who looked at her. So they built their lives around keeping her safe and keeping the world safe from her. Precious grew up loved, protected, and hidden, unaware that her beauty carried a curse powerful enough to kill. Precious didn't grow up like other children. Her parents knew from the day she was born that the world could never safely see her face. One glance, one careless moment could cost a life. So they sheltered her. They homeschooled her. Her mother became her teacher, patiently guiding her through reading, writing, mathematics, and the sciences, while her father taught her life skills and shared stories of the outside world. Every lesson, every activity was carefully controlled to keep her safe. Her childhood was quiet and confined. Windows were always covered, mirrors were removed, visitors were forbidden. Precious learned to live in a world of shadows where curiosity had to be tempered with caution. Years passed. Precious grew into an intelligent, gentle, and cautious young woman. But when she turned 18, the time came for a new chapter: university. Her parents knew this would be the greatest risk of all. She would have to leave the safety of home and face a world that had no idea of her deadly beauty. To protect her, they gave her a special mask, thick, secure, and impossible to see through. "This mask is your shield," her mother said, fastening it carefully. "Through it, you can live among people safely," her father added, holding her trembling hands. And so, at 18, Precious prepared to step into the world beyond her home, masked, cautious, and unsure of what awaited her. Precious' first day at university was a whirlwind of excitement and fear. The campus stretched endlessly before her, alive with energy. Students laughed, shouted, and hurried between lectures, their voices echoing off the stone walls and green lawns. The sun glinted on polished windows, and the leaves of the trees swayed gently in the breeze. To everyone else, it was a typical, lively day. But to Precious, it felt like stepping into a battlefield. Her mask, thick and black, covered her entire face. Only a narrow slit revealed her deep, expressive eyes, and a tiny opening at the nose allowed her to breathe. Every step she took, every movement, had to be careful. This mask was not just a piece of cloth. It was a shield, a barrier between her and the deadly beauty she had been cursed with since birth. Even behind the mask, she couldn't go unnoticed. There was something in the way she carried herself, quiet, graceful, and poised, that drew attention. Whispers began almost immediately. Some students stared curiously, others exchanged speculative glances. And then, like a storm breaking across a calm sky, Ella noticed her. Ella was the kind of girl everyone knew, beautiful, confident, and dangerously popular. Her sharp tongue and quick wit had earned her a reputation as both admired and feared. If Ella wanted to humiliate someone, she could do it with a single word, a single smirk, and the crowd would obey her lead. Trouble seemed to follow her like a shadow, and she thrived on control, attention, and making others feel small. And now, here was Precious, quiet, mysterious, and seemingly untouchable. The audacity! Ella narrowed her eyes and whispered to her friends, "Look at her. Who does she think she is, hiding her face like that? She's probably ugly under that mask. No wonder she's all alone." The word spread like wildfire. Soon students were pointing and whispering, some giggling, some staring in disbelief. A group of girls snickered as they passed by, their eyes flicking toward the masked girl. Ella, never missing a chance, stepped closer and raised her voice just enough for the nearby crowd to hear. "Hey, ugly girl, is that your face under there? Or are you hiding because no one could ever stand to look at you?" Her words cut through the chatter, sharp and deliberate, and laughter erupted. Precious felt the sting of each insult, but she remained still. She lowered her eyes, keeping calm. Any reaction could make them worse, and more dangerously, she had to ensure no one ever got close enough to see the truth. Her face, beautiful beyond imagination, was lethal. As whispers, snickers, and pointing fingers swirled around her, a strange mix of fear and determination welled up inside her. For the first time, she felt the weight of being both extraordinarily gifted and painfully dangerous. She also realized that the world didn't understand her. They couldn't know. And for their sake, she had to endure this cruelty silently. Her eyes, visible through the slit in her mask, scanned the crowd. She noticed some students' curiosity, some's ridicule, and some who simply ignored her, unaware of the tension surrounding her presence. Despite all of it, something new flickered inside her, a sense of determination. She would not let the mockery break her spirit. She would not let fear dictate her life. Even as Ella's laughter rang in her ears and the whispers followed her down the corridor, Precious made a silent promise to herself. One day they would see her truth, not as a curse, but as the strength she carried within. And when that day came, it would not be their judgment that defined her. With careful steps, she moved through the crowd, her mask hiding the secret the world could not handle, her mind sharpening with resolve, and her heart quietly preparing for the challenges that awaited her. The first day of university had been difficult, but it had also shown her that she could survive in a world that didn't yet understand her. Ella's cruelty knew no bounds, mocking Precious in the hallways, whispering behind her back, and making her life miserable wasn't enough. She craved proof. Proof of the face beneath the black mask, the face that no one had ever seen, the face that fueled every rumor and whispered fear on campus. And for that, she needed someone unsuspecting, someone who could get close. Her eyes landed on Daniel, the most handsome and admired boy in the university. Tall, confident, with a smile that made hearts flutter, Daniel had a presence that drew attention effortlessly. To Ella, he was the perfect instrument for her scheme. "Daniel," she whispered to her friends one afternoon, a mischievous glint in her sharp eyes. "We're going to find out what she looks like. She can't hide forever." Her friends gasped. "Daniel? The Daniel everyone likes?" Ella only smirked, her sharp tongue always 3 steps ahead. Exactly. Who would ever suspect him? A few days later, Ella cornered Daniel as he was leaving the library. She leaned casually, her voice soft, persuasive, and deceptively innocent. "I need a favor," she said. "It's about Precious, the girl who wears the mask. I think she's hiding something. I just want to see her face." Daniel frowned, uneasy. "I don't know. That doesn't feel right." Ella's eyes gleamed. "It's harmless. Just befriend her. Make her trust you. And when the moment is right, get a picture. That's all." Daniel hesitated, torn between his conscience and curiosity. But Ella's persistence was relentless. After a long pause and a reluctant sigh, he finally agreed. "Fine. I'll talk to her." The very next day, Daniel found Precious in the library, tucked in a quiet corner. Her black mask covered her face completely, leaving only a small slit for her eyes and a tiny opening at the nose for breathing. Books and notes were spread neatly before her. "Hi," he said gently, pulling out the chair beside her. His voice was calm, warm, and careful, as if he didn't want to startle her. "Mind if I sit?" Precious blinked, surprised. No one had ever approached her with such courtesy. Her eyes flicked through the slit in her mask, searching his face for any hint of ill intent. Sure," she whispered softly, keeping her gaze lowered. Her heart thumped nervously, torn between fear and curiosity. From that day, Daniel became a steady presence in her life. He walked with her between classes, shared notes, laughed at small jokes, and listened patiently as she spoke. Precious began to wonder, quietly to herself, if it was possible that someone could care for her without fearing her deadly secret. All the while, Ella's plan waited silently in the shadows, her sharp mouth and cunning mind biding the perfect moment to strike. But for now, Daniel's calm kindness and Precious's cautious curiosity created a fragile thread of trust, one that would soon be tested in ways none of them could imagine. The weekend arrived, and Precious, feeling a cautious trust toward Daniel, invited him to study together. They had assignments to tackle and notes to review, and she thought it would be safer to work quietly. Precious prepared tea for both of them and handed him a cup, smiling softly behind her mask. "Here," she said gently, "it'll help us stay awake while we study." Daniel accepted the cup with a polite nod. "Thanks," he said, his tone calm and reassuring. They pored over their assignments together, discussing answers, laughing quietly at little jokes, and sharing ideas. Precious felt a strange lightness she hadn't experienced in years. For the first time, she allowed herself to relax, to feel almost normal. After some time, Precious excused herself to go to the bathroom, leaving Daniel alone. The moment she stepped away, Daniel carefully unwrapped a small packet of white paper and added its contents to her tea. When she returned, she picked up her cup, completely unaware of the hidden danger. They resumed studying, Precious sipping her tea slowly. At first, she felt nothing unusual, but after a few minutes, a strange warmth spread through her body and her eyelids began to feel heavy. She tried to shake it off, rubbing her eyes under the mask. I'm just a little tired," she murmured softly. She continued reading her notes, but the words blurred before her eyes. Daniel watched calmly, keeping his smile gentle as the effects of the tea began to take hold. Precious' body grew heavier, her hands resting limply on the table. She yawned involuntarily, her head tilting forward slightly. I think I need a short rest," she whispered, her voice barely audible, trembling as sleep overtook her. Her eyes fluttered, struggling to stay open, but the drowsiness was too strong. Slowly, her head bowed, and within moments, she had drifted into a deep, unnatural sleep, completely unaware of what was about to happen. The quiet study session that had started with laughter and shared focus now hung on the edge of danger, a deadly secret hidden just beneath the surface. Precious slept deeply, her breathing slow and steady, completely unaware of the danger that had slipped into her tea. Daniel watched her for a moment before gathering the courage to do what Ella had demanded. With trembling fingers, he slowly lifted her mask. The moment her face was revealed, a soft glow seemed to radiate from her skin. She was breathtaking, too breathtaking. Her beauty wasn't normal, it was divine, overwhelming, impossible to behold. And then it happened. Daniel gasped, his eyes widening. His body froze as if struck by lightning, and within seconds he collapsed to the floor with a heavy, lifeless thud. The sound jolted Precious awake. She blinked, confused and dizzy, her mask slightly loose from Daniel's touch. She pushed herself up and looked around. Then her gaze fell on Daniel, lying motionless beside her. Her heart stopped. "Daniel!" she whispered, her voice shaking. She crawled toward him, her hands trembling violently. "Daniel, please, wake up." But he didn't move. His eyes were empty. His chest didn't rise. His body was cold. Tears instantly filled her eyes. She covered her mouth with both hands, choking back a scream. "No, no, no, no. Please don't be dead. Please." Her voice cracked painfully as her tears splashed onto the floor. "This is my fault," she sobbed, shaking. "I never wanted this. I never wanted to hurt anyone." The door burst open as other students, alarmed by the noise, rushed in. Gasps filled the air. Some screamed, others backed away in fear. Before long, the authorities were alerted. Precious was taken in for questioning, her entire body trembling with guilt and fear. Her mask was secured tightly again. Her face stayed hidden. Hours passed before the truth became undeniable. Precious had done nothing out of intention. The death was linked to the mysterious curse she carried. She was innocent. When her mother arrived, she pulled Precious into her arms, holding her tightly as the girl cried uncontrollably. "Precious, my child," her mother whispered softly, stroking her back. "You didn't kill him. The curse did. You must not blame yourself." But Precious only sobbed harder. "I never wanted anyone to die because of me," she cried. Her mother cupped her cheeks gently. "One day," she said, her voice calm but full of faith, "someone will love you so deeply that this curse will break. Remember what the prophet told us. Don't lose hope." Precious closed her eyes, tears still flowing, but hope felt so far away. All she could feel at that moment was grief and fear of the future. A few months later, Ella's bullying still hadn't stopped. Every day she found a new insult, a new way to humiliate Precious, a new reason to laugh at her mask in front of others. Precious tried to ignore her, but the constant mockery was exhausting. Then everything changed when a new student arrived, Eric. He was tall, well-spoken, smart, and surprisingly calm for someone new. Within his first week, he had already become popular in several departments because of his confidence and quiet maturity. People admired him naturally, not because he tried to impress them, but because he carried himself with a quiet strength. Ella noticed him immediately. One afternoon, she walked up to him with her usual flirty confidence, twirling her hair and smiling proudly as her friends watched behind her. "Hi, I'm Ella," she said sweetly. "If you ever need help settling in, I can show you around." Eric barely glanced at her. "Thanks, I'm fine." Ella blinked. No one had ever dismissed her like that. She tried again, this time lowering her voice to sound more seductive. "I mean, I can show you anything you want." Eric finally looked at her properly, cold, uninterested. "Stop embarrassing yourself," he said calmly. The hallway went silent. Her friends gasped loudly. Students nearby froze in shock. Ella stood there stunned, cheeks burning with humiliation. No one had ever rejected her that openly. But Eric walked past her without another word. And for the first time, Precious felt a tiny secret victory inside her chest. Later that day, Eric noticed Precious sitting alone with her books in their department hall. She was quiet, masked as always, minding her business. He walked toward her slowly, making sure not to startle her. "Precious, right?" he asked gently. She looked up, surprised that he even knew her name. "Yes. I've seen you in class," he continued. "You're really smart. I was wondering if we could study together. I could use someone who actually understands the assignments." Precious hesitated. People rarely approached her without a hidden motive. She studied his face carefully, searching for any trace of mockery or deceit. But Eric's expression was calm, honest, so she nodded softly. "Okay, we can study together." Eric smiled, a real smile, warm and reassuring. "Great. I'm glad." From that day, they became steady study partners. Eric never mocked her, never questioned her mask, never treated her like she was strange. He asked her academic questions, shared notes, corrected her gently when she made mistakes, and listened attentively when she explained something. Rumors spread fast. Eric, the new popular guy, chose to sit with Precious. People whispered in the hallways, "Why her? What does he see in her? I bet Ella is furious." And she was. But Precious didn't care. For the first time since Daniel's death, she felt something she thought she had lost forever. Over the next few weeks, Precious and Eric grew closer academically. They studied together after classes, solved assignments side by side, and slowly formed a quiet routine that brought peace into Precious's life. Eric never pushed her, never asked why she wore the mask, and never treated her like she was strange. He simply respected her boundaries, something she wasn't used to. Ella, however, was burning with jealousy. She watched them from a distance, Precious sitting beside the boy who rejected her, the boy everyone adored. She couldn't stand it. Every time she saw them sharing a textbook, her chest tightened with anger. Her friends tried to calm her, but Ella was too proud to accept that Precious of all people had something she didn't. One afternoon during a lecture, Ella finally snapped. The class was full, students chatting and settling in. Precious sat quietly in her usual corner, arranging her jotter and pen. Eric wasn't there yet, and that made her an easy target. Ella stood up suddenly, pointed at Precious and shouted loud enough for the whole class to hear, "Why are you hiding behind that mask? Is your face that horrible?" The room fell silent for a moment, then laughter erupted. Some students covered their mouths, others openly pointed, and a few even imitated Precious holding her mask. Precious felt her throat tighten. She kept her head down, fists trembling on her lap, doing everything she could not to cry. She had survived loneliness, bullying, and even the tragedy with Daniel, but public humiliation still stung deeply. Ella smirked proudly, flipping her hair as if she had achieved something grand. But then the door opened and Eric walked in. He paused when he saw the scene. The laughter, the pointing, Precious staring down at her desk in shame. His expression hardened instantly. Without asking anyone what happened, he walked straight to her, sat beside her, and placed his books gently on the table. Then he looked around the class, his voice steady and cool. "Is this what you people do for fun? Mock someone who did nothing to you?" The room went quiet. Students shifted uncomfortably, some avoiding eye contact. Ella rolled her eyes. "Oh, please, Eric. She's wearing a mask like a clown. Are we not allowed to talk?" He turned sharply toward her. "You didn't talk. You insulted her. That's the difference." The class murmured. No one had ever spoken to Ella with such calm authority. Precious, still staring at her hands, felt her chest tighten again. But this time it wasn't sadness. It was something warm, something unfamiliar. Someone had defended her, publicly. Eric leaned closer to her and whispered gently, "Ignore them. You're not alone." A small tear escaped her eye, but she quickly wiped it before anyone noticed. Ella, furious and humiliated again, stormed out of the classroom. From that day, something changed on campus. Students who once mocked Precious began to stay silent around her. Some even apologized quietly in the hallways, while others avoided Ella, realizing she had finally met someone who wouldn't bow to her pride. And for the first time, Precious felt what it was like to have a true defender. Someone who didn't need anything from her, someone who didn't fear her, someone who didn't treat her like a monster. Eric had become more than a study partner. He had become the first real friend she ever had. After the embarrassing scene in the classroom, Ella's anger didn't cool. In fact, it only grew hotter. She couldn't believe Eric, the one boy who never rejected anyone, had defended Precious of all people. A masked girl, a nobody, someone she considered beneath her. So the next day, Ella waited for her. Precious was walking across the campus, heading toward the library to meet Eric for their usual study time. Her steps were small and calm, as always, but her heart carried a quiet warmth from yesterday's unexpected defense. Then Ella stepped in front of her, blocking her path. Well, so this is what you've been doing?" Ella sneered, folding her arms. "Snatching people's boyfriends. Is that your talent now?" Precious paused, confused but calm. "He's not your boyfriend, Ella," she replied softly. Ella scoffed. "Don't pretend. I saw the way you two sit together, studying like you own him. Do you think wearing a mask makes you special? Do you think Eric actually likes you?" Students nearby began to slow down, sensing drama. Precious looked around, then back at Ella, her voice steady. "Ella, Eric and I are not dating," she said. "We're just friends, that's all." Ella stepped closer, her voice dropping lower and sharper. "Friends? Or are you trying to seduce him with that ugly face you're hiding? Just tell me the truth. What are you using to hold him?" This time, Precious didn't look down. She didn't tremble. She didn't run. Instead, she straightened her shoulders and replied with something no one expected. "You should look well before you judge people." Ella blinked, stunned. Precious continued, her tone calm but firm. "You think being loud makes you powerful. But real strength isn't in insults, it's in character. We're not dating, but even if we were, you don't have the right to question me." A murmur passed through the small crowd gathering around them. Ella opened her mouth to insult her again, but Precious stepped around her with surprising confidence. "Next time," Precious added as she walked past, "ask before you assume. It will save you from embarrassing yourself." Gasps erupted from the students. Some even clapped, small at first, then louder as Precious continued walking without looking back. For the first time ever, Ella was speechless. Her friends stared at her in shock. Campus students whispered excitedly. And Precious felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: pride, strength, freedom. She headed to the library with her heart beating fast, not from fear, but from courage she never knew she had. One quiet afternoon, Precious and Eric sat beneath the large almond tree on campus, their favorite spot. The breeze was gentle, carrying the soft scent of flowers, and students chatted in the distance. But Precious noticed something unusual. Eric kept staring at her, not a quick glance, not curiosity, but a deep, gentle stare filled with something she couldn't understand. Finally, she turned to him. "Eric, why are you looking at me like that?" she asked softly. Eric inhaled deeply, his heart pounding. "Precious, I can't hide it anymore." He shifted closer, his voice trembling with emotion. "I love you. I don't care about the mask. I don't care about the rumors. I want you, and someday, I want to marry you." Precious froze. Her heart skipped painfully. No one had ever spoken to her like that. With sincerity, with affection, with acceptance. "Eric," she whispered, breath shaking. "You don't know what you're saying. You don't understand what comes with loving me." But Eric only smiled gently. "I understand enough, and I'm not going anywhere." The world around her felt still. A warmth spread through her chest, shock, fear, joy, and longing all tangled. For the first time in her life, someone loved her without seeing her face. Someone chose her. After a long silence, Eric spoke again, softly this time. "Precious, will you come to my hostel this weekend? Let's spend the day together. Just us." She hesitated, the curse, the fear, the risks. But his eyes held no judgment, only patience and warmth. Precious slowly nodded. "Okay, I'll come." The weekend on Saturday, Precious walked to Eric's hostel, her heart racing. He welcomed her with the brightest smile, making her feel safe instantly. They spent hours together, laughing, talking, telling stories about their childhoods. Precious found herself forgetting the world for once. She leaned on Eric's shoulder, and he wrapped an arm around her gently. Their eyes met. A soft, unspoken moment passed between them, full of affection and trust. And then, they kissed. It was gentle at first, then deeper, warm, and full of emotion Precious had never known before. But in the heat of the moment, Eric's fingers brushed the edge of her mask, and he accidentally lifted it. Precious gasped and instantly adjusted the mask back into place. She stumbled away, tears flooding her eyes. "No, Eric, no," she cried, squeezing her eyes shut. "I don't want you to die. Please don't look at me." But Eric didn't fall. He didn't shake. He didn't collapse. Instead, he stepped closer. "Precious, look at me." She slowly opened her eyes, trembling. Eric smiled, completely alive. "I'm fine. See? I didn't die." Precious stared at him, shock consuming her. How are you still alive? No one has ever seen my face and lived." Eric touched her hands gently. Maybe my love for you is stronger than whatever curse is on you." Precious couldn't speak. Her tears flowed freely, not from fear this time, but from overpowering relief and disbelief. Because for the first time since she was born, someone saw her face and survived. The curse had finally begun to crack. After the unbelievable moment at Eric's hostel, Precious rushed home trembling, not with fear, but with joy she had never felt before. The moment her mother saw her enter, she knew something had changed. "Precious, what happened? Why are you shaking?" her mother asked, rushing toward her. Precious grabbed her mother's hands, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Mama, someone saw my face," she whispered. Her mother's breath caught. "My God." "Precious, no, who? Is he alive?" Precious nodded, smiling through her tears. "Eric, Mom, he saw my face. And he didn't die. He's alive. Nothing happened to him." Her mother gasped and covered her mouth as tears filled her eyes. "The prophecy. Precious, the prophecy." She pulled her daughter into a tight embrace. "My child, the curse is broken. Love has found you." Precious held her mother tightly, overwhelmed with gratitude and disbelief. For the first time in her life, she felt free, truly free. The next day at school, Precious walked onto campus the next morning without her mask. The moment she stepped through the gates, a wave of shock rippled through the students. People stopped mid-conversation. Some dropped their books. Others stared with wide, speechless eyes. Precious looked breathtaking, her beauty stunning and radiant, glowing with the confidence she'd never known before. Whispers turned into gasps. "Is that Precious? Oh my God, she's beautiful. Why was she hiding her face all this time?" And then Ella appeared. Her eyes widened so much they almost popped out. She walked closer, disbelief painted all over her face. "So this is what you've been hiding?" Ella asked, voice shaking with shock and envy. Precious met her gaze calmly, standing tall. "Yes," she said, "and next time, look well before you judge people." The courtyard erupted into applause. Students clapped for her strength, her beauty, her courage. Some even cheered her name. Ella stood there, frozen, humiliated, unable to respond. Precious smiled softly. For once, she no longer felt like a shadow in the crowd. She was free from the curse, free from fear, free from hiding, and standing boldly under the sunlight, with Eric smiling proudly at her from afar. Precious finally stepped into the life destiny had kept waiting for her. Dear viewers, we've come to the end of this emotional and powerful story. Now I want to hear from you. What did you learn from Precious's journey so far? Did this chapter teach you something about true love? About patience? About not judging people too quickly? Or about believing in yourself even in difficult situations? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to read them. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next interesting story coming soon with even more twists and surprises. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.